Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Īśopaniṣad series, which is part of our Bhakti Shastri as well. So we are doing Īśopaniṣad. Today we will cover mantra 11 and 12, 13, 14, as much as we can possibly cover. So before we start, let us chant the Mangalacharan prayers. I will, as we can see, today is online only because of all the snow and weather conditions. So I will share the screen. Okay, we will recite this. I will recite this. You will be muted. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yukta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. So welcome again to the Śrī Īśopaniṣad class. And we will get started. So this we will recite together in lead follow format. Om Purnamadaha
Om Purnamadaha
Purnamidam
Purnamidam
Purnat Purnamudachyate
Purnamudachyate
Purnasya Pramadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete.
The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete.
And because he is completely perfect,
all
emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. Ishavasyam idam sarvam Yat kincha jagatyam jagat
Jagatyam jagat
Yattena bhunjitha
ten
Ten
tyatena bhunjitha
ma gridha kasya svidhanam.
kasya svidhanam.
Everything inanimate or everything animate or inanimate
Everything innate or inanimate
that is within this universe
that is within this universe
is controlled and owned by the Lord.
is controlled and owned by the Lord.
One should therefore accept only those things
One should therefore accept only those things
necessary for himself,
necessary for himself,
which are set aside as his quota,
which are set aside as his quota,
and one should not accept other things,
and one
And
should not
one
accept
other
other
things,
things,
knowing well to whom they belong.
knowing well to whom they belong.
whom
To
they
whom they
belong.
belong.
Thank you. Now you can mute yourself, and we will discuss mantra 11 today. So just a quick recap. This is the Īśopaniṣad verse or the Īśopaniṣad principle, which is the foundation for the entire Īśopaniṣad. And so this is the Īśopaniṣad verse or the Īśopaniṣad principle, which is the foundation for the entire Īśopaniṣad. And the main part in this verse is not that we have a quota and we should limit ourselves in the quota and not encroach on others' quota, etc. The main point, those are secondary points, by the way. The main point is that everything belongs to the Lord. So the Lord Śrī Krishna, is the center of the verse and is the center of the Īśopaniṣad. So Isha means Ishvara or the Supreme Lord, and that's why it is called Īśopaniṣad, because the Lord is in the center of the Upanishad. So having said that, we are in going to study verse 11. So 9, 10, and 11 are one section of the verse which are teaching us about Vidya and Avidya. So we will quickly cover verse 11. Let's see, verse number 11. Here it is. Okay. Oops. Mantra 11. So I will read the mantra 11. Vidyam cha yas tad vedo bhayam saha avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyaya mritam ashnute. So the translation by Srila Prabhupada is, only one who can learn the process of nescience and that of transcendental knowledge side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death and enjoy the full blessings of immortality. So that is the verse this is the 11th verse. So what is being said here is Vidyam cha avidyam cha yas. So in the first line, there is the reference to Vidya and Avidya. So one who, and in the next verse is Veda. Veda means to know. So the English will be one who knows Vidya and Avidya. Yas means one who. So one who knows Vidya cha Avidya. Tad Vedo Bhayam Saha. So Veda Ubhaya. So both. Ubhaya means both. Tad Veda, one who knows these two. Ubhaya, two. Saha. Saha is an important word. Saha means what? In Hindi or in Sanskrit, we know Saha means together or along with, isn't it? So, iske sahit, we say. So, Vidya along with Avidya. It is not, what is being said is not that first we had Avidya, now we have become more enlightened by reading Vedas and scriptures. Now we have Vidya. So we have replaced avidya completely with vidya. That is not the meaning. It is meaning together, saha. And that is why Srila Prabhupada is translating it as side by side. And if you look at the word by word meaning, Srila Prabhupada has saha as simultaneously. And here he is saying side by side, which means together. Avidyaya mrityum tirtva. So one can transcend tirtva mrityu, the cycle of birth and death. Avidyaya vidyayam, by this avidya and vidya, both, using both, one can transcend the cycle of birth and death. Amritam ashnute, and he can enjoy. Ashnute means to enjoy or to get or obtain. Ashnute amritam. Amrita means immortality. Okay, so one can become amar or immortal by this knowledge of vidya and avidya. So we will cover some of the points, and then there is a important question that we will discuss today, which is, why is the Īśopaniṣad saying or putting emphasis on avidya? That question is a little strange. We always say you should replace avidya with vidya. So why is the emphasis, or why it is being said that you must also have the knowledge of avidya? So that is a question that we will spend some time discussing. But before that, let us see one particular point in these verses 9, 10, and 11. I just made a slide to make sure everybody understands. And this is actually one of the homework questions also. So if you are listening, you can just copy what is there on this slide, and that's the answer to one of the homeworks. So it's that easy. So Bhakti Shastri is not hard. I'm also giving the answers along with in the presentation. So this is one of the answers directly. But anyway, the word avidya and vidya is being used in this 3 verses in slightly different context. So in mantra 9, we saw that Īśopaniṣad is saying both are detrimental. Remember, we said that. And there, avidya and vidya had different meaning. Avidya was sinful or demoniac knowledge, and vidya was so-called knowledge which advances our material sense gratification. So all this knowledge that we get in the school and university and everything to become this engineer, lawyer, doctor, all those things basically is for our own sense gratification. Then from mantra 10 onwards, the definition slightly changes. Avidya, once it has been established that this so-called knowledge is also detrimental, is also not useful, that has been put into the category of avidya, and vidya means spiritual knowledge. Okay. So in this verse, number 11, obviously we can see very clearly that through vidya, you can get amrita. So it cannot be through any materialistic knowledge or any so-called knowledge that you can get amrita or immortality and transcend the cycle of birth and death. Mrityum tirtva. Tirtva means to go beyond or to transcend. So you cannot do mrityum tirtva through so-called knowledge. It can only be through spiritual knowledge. So it is very clear that in mantra 11 and also 10, vidya means spiritual knowledge. So just have this in mind, like Īśopaniṣad needs to be understood carefully. So in the purport, and I will just use the purport by Srila Prabhupada to make certain key points on this verse. So since this verse talks about mrityum tirtva, or to transcend mrityu, to go beyond the cycle of birth and death. So Srila Prabhupada starts off by saying that no one can or has been successful in avoiding the hand of death. No one at all. Okay. Modern science, no. And we can, if we have to be totally precise, we can say not yet. But through the Vedic understanding, we know that it is not yet and it will never be. So, but scientists may disagree. They may elongate the duration of life, just like Hiranyakasipu was able to elongate his duration of life. So we have evidence in the Shastra that you can do that. You can elongate your life, you can make your life disease-free. All those things are there, but you cannot avoid death. So the greatest scientist, or so to say, demoniac scientist or demoniac-minded person, the most intelligent demon that has ever been there in this universe has been Hiranyakasipu. And we can see that through his thousands of years of tapasya to Lord Brahmaji, he was able to almost become immortal, almost, but not fully. And when Brahmaji appeared, because of his intense tapasya, just like our scientists are doing tapasya, they work very hard, they conduct very, very, hard experiments. I don't know if many of you have heard, there is an experiment on the South Pole. It is called as, what is the name? Ice cube or something like that. Basically, it's a neutrino detector. It is 1 mile below the ice in the South Pole in Antarctica. And scientists go there to Antarctica, live there for 6 months in very harsh conditions, almost like a tapasvi, like Hiranyakasipu, eating very little, sleeping very little, and doing all this, great science work. So they are kind of like on the following in the footsteps. But anyway, Hiranyakasipu did all that. And when Brahmaji appeared, then he asked for immortality. And Brahmaji said, even I am not immortal. So please ask something that I can give, that I have, I can give you. So he asked for all these things. I should not be killed in the day or in the night, not by any weapon, not by a man or an animal. All these things he asked. And he was able to, get a lot of powers. But ultimately, he was defeated at the hand of God. Lord Narayan or Lord Krishna took this Adbhut form of Narsimhadev and met all his conditions. He did not kill him with weapons. He killed him with nails. Nails are neither considered, he said, I should not be killed by something living or dead. Nails are neither considered living nor dead. They are somewhere in the middle. So, Nakham Adbhuta Shringha, we sing the prayers. So by his nails, the Lord killed him, and so on. So permanent and eternal life is only possible with God. And through Vedic knowledge, through the path of bhakti, we can be led with the Shastras and the bona fide servants, which is the Acharyas, lead us on this path of bhakti. So that's how we can get eternal life. Then Srila Prabhupada goes on to mention, I'm just summarizing the purport by Srila Prabhupada. Human life is very rare, and it is the best opportunity we have, or rather the only opportunity we have to make spiritual progress. And the miseries of the material world remind us of the value of the spiritual path. So like we discussed in the very first verse, Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam, that this material world is perfect. It is perfect for the purpose of reminding us that the goal of human life is to make spiritual progress. It is perfectly fulfilling that purpose. The purpose of the material world is not to make us do unlimited, unrestricted sense gratification. The purpose of the material world is to always remind us that there is death, there is misery. Final misery of death is there. Anybody who claims, I am very happy, when we go distribute some books, some people we meet, and they say, no, I don't need anything. I'm totally happy. So we don't remind them of death, but at least you can think in your own mind that one last unhappiness will be there. Nobody wants to die. So one last unhappiness of death will definitely be there. Plus many, many things will be there which they are not acknowledging. Or even if they have it in their life, they are not recognizing. They are blind to it. Or they have got so immune to it that they think they are happy till they have not seen a happier person. When they see a happier person, and the happiest person is a devotee, But when they see a happier person, then they will covet what they are missing. So like that, there are people in this world. So the miseries of the material world very nicely help us to remind us of taking to the spiritual path. Therefore, one should not misuse human life. And Srila Prabhupada gives an example of a man or a person with a fever. If his fever is 100 degree or 104 degree, he should not do things to make it 107 degrees. He should do things to make it 98 degrees. So he should move in the right direction, not further increase his fever. So by increasing our sense gratification, we are only increasing our fever. We are misusing human life. And even by pious activities, one may think that I am making good use of human life, but that is not the case. At best, the pious activities will lead us to Swarga. But again, we will not be able to escape the cycle of birth and death that we have studied from Bhagavad Gita. I'm assuming everybody here on the call is very familiar with that going to Swarga is not equivalent to escaping the cycle of birth and death. So that will always be there. So therefore, one must take to the spiritual path. At the same time, now comes that part. At the same time, there is no need to stop material activities. So one must make the best use of a bad bargain. As they say, if you have a lemon, make a lemonade. So make the best use of a bad bargain, which means having obtained a human life, use it for Krishna consciousness. And the best way to use the human life for Krishna consciousness is to engage in Shravana and Kirtana of Bhagavan. And scriptures such as Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, especially in almost every verse of Īśopaniṣad, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is nectar of devotion, which we will study subsequently as part of the Bhakti Shastri and this series. So that is the summary of Srila, or the main points in Srila Prabhupada's purport. All right. Any questions? Please raise your hands or, put it in the chat or something. Today, I don't have the problem of the, screen size because I'm at my home. Okay, let me see. Yeah, and as far as attendance for Bhakti Shastri is concerned, please put your name, correct name in the Zoom. Most of you have done that, so that's good. And if two people are joining on the same Zoom, please try to put both names. It will just help to remind me that, you are two of you or something. And if possible, turn on your camera. That way, it becomes more interactive for me. I feel happier. Okay. So, and thanks for all those in India. I know there are many devotees in India who have joined. Thank you very much. Special thanks. And many of them are in the Dham. So thank you very much for joining all the way from India. And please pray in front of the deities for all of us. Thank you so much for joining. Okay, so we will continue our Mantra 11 discussion. So then comes the question. So the translation or this verse is, only one who can learn the process of nescience and that of transcendental knowledge. So nescience is the main part, avidya and transcendental knowledge, fine, side by side can transcend the influence of repeated birth and death. So why avidya is being advocated? That is the question. Just to remind you, here in this definition, avidya is referring to both demoniac or sinful knowledge, and that we know we should avoid. So the main point is not that. So in any case, or materialistic knowledge, that's the other aspect of avidya, which we also know we should avoid. And we should focus on spiritual knowledge. So why is avidya being advocated? That is the question. So I would like to now make it interactive. Please raise your hands or put something in the chat or something to indicate you want to share. I really want, if you don't speak up, I will invite people to say something.
One reason.
Yes, Makarand Prabhu. And one point each, okay?
Yes. One reason I can say is that to know light, you must know the darkness. So to see the positive side of things, you must know the negative side of the thing.
Okay, little bit next layer. Why? Anyway, let's go to other devotees. Shyam Leela Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, that and also like Srila Prabhupada is saying, don't stop your materialistic activities. So if you want to be able to do materialistic activities, you need to have at least some knowledge of materialism, and then you can use that knowledge or that money in, Krishna conscious ways.
So I was going to ask you to kind of, you said that if you don't want to stop materialistic activities, but the guidance is to stop materialistic activities, then you are saying you are being half devotee, half, materialist.
No, Prabhuji, like if we go to the previous slide that was on this, Srila Prabhupada was saying, the idea is not for you to stop, no need to stop materialistic activities, you're making the best use. So now if I have a student loan to pay, I have to find some work to be able to pay that. Or, just day-to-day activities, and that is not bad, but just using it in the right consciousness.
Okay, some more tightening. Yes, definitely, you're not wrong at all. And a little bit more tightening of the words to bring out the meaning. Okay, other devotees. Shilpa Mataji had raised the hand, I think, or Chandrasekhar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
The recommendation is to take spiritual knowledge, but we are not completely there yet. Like the material propensity in us is still there, and we have those propensities, and they need not be artificially stopped per se, but can be utilized, as Mataji was telling in the service of Krishna.
Very nice. So one point that you're making is don't artificially stop. Okay, very nice. Yes, Shilpa Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I'm not sure whether I got the right question, but I was thinking like the question is why avidya is better than so-called vidya. Was that the question or?
No, why avidya is being advocated at all in this verse?
Okay.
Why not only vidya? And gradually, completely removing any kind of avidya, whether it is demoniac knowledge or materialistic or sinful knowledge or even pious knowledge, or the sinful path or the pious path. Why avoid both? Or why advocate both? Sorry. Why not avoid both? That is the question.
Okay. Yeah, so I think like in avidya, at least we know that we are not on right path. And in vidya, we are not aware, like we are not on right path, maybe.
Okay, thanks, Mataji. Yes.
Prabhuji, my thinking is that the materialistic knowledge is important because that will help us to differentiate, always keep on differentiating that what is materialistic and what is spiritual. If we forget about it, then it will get muddled, I guess.
Very nice. So you are kind of tightening the words to compare to what Makarand Prabhu was saying, that to know light, you need to know darkness so that you can differentiate what is light and dark. Yeah. For us, it is very easy to differentiate light and dark, day or night, black or white. We are programmed to do that. But in the case of materialistic knowledge and spiritual knowledge, it may not be so black and white. So you are saying how to distinguish between them. Very nice. Manasi Ganga Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I'm just thinking your example, like in order for us to learn the calculus, we must know numbers. So similarly, in order for us to gain the spiritual knowledge and bring ourselves beyond the modes, or in at least mode of goodness, we must have this avidya, and then we will, as Magrand Prabhuji and other Mataji said, we will, eventually will come to the stage of spiritual knowledge.
Very nice. Okay, yeah, that's a very good point. Referring to the pious activities aspect of avidya, that by performing pious activities, even though it is being put in the category of avidya, it is at least bringing us to the mode of goodness platform. And from there, it is very conducive to make progress on bhakti or spiritual path. Very good. Thank you, Mataji. That's a very nice point. Yes, Ramakant Prabhuji.
When we are in this materialistic world, because of the three qualities Sat, Raj, and Tam, and combination of this, every moment we are in work. Every moment. So karma, vikarma, and akarma. If we don't know what are the akarma, we don't know what are the vikarma, then we cannot go to, without knowing the karma, we cannot proceed towards the akarma. So that is very essential.
Okay. Again, same point like Makarand Prabhu and who else was there? Niru Mataji were highlighting to be able to clearly distinguish one from the other. Yes, very nice. Abhimanyu Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, this is Anjanam.
Sure. Yes, Mataji.
So I think it has to do with the value, because you would not value Vidya till you don't have a knowledge of avidya. I mean, if you're ignorant, and then when you get the spiritual, when you're in a materialistic knowledge, you see the, materialistic side of the life. And then when you are discontent with that, you move towards Vidya, which is spiritual knowledge. So if you do, I feel that you will value spiritual knowledge more if you have the materialistic knowledge, because you have seen the other side of the world and you have been there, done that, and then you realize that this is not satisfying and you move towards spiritual knowledge.
Okay. Yes, Mataji, that's a good point. However, just a small point I want to make. I'm tempted to make one point in that regard.
Sure, Prabhuji.
Yes, knowing avidya is important due to all the points that other previous devotees mentioned. Makarand Prabhu, Niru Mataji, and Ramakant Prabhu, I think, and so on. But the point that I feel a little bit on slippery slope here, what you mentioned, is to experience the result of avidya by the knowledge of avidya. That can be a slippery slope. That is like I heard some time back, the Osho principle. Oh, you go and enjoy materialistic life. And once you are tired of it, then you will be conducive, or you will be more receptive to spiritual knowledge. But that is not a right philosophy at all. That is like telling a child, your child, let us say, okay, you can burn your hand. Once your hand actually burns, then you will know not to put it again in the fire. But you don't want to. It's better to learn from other people's example and from the knowledge instead of learning everything in the hard way. I'm not sure if you meant that, but even if you did not mean it, I wanted to highlight that point that there are some so-called spiritual leaders who advocate this principle. Go enjoy. And there will be a day in the future when your enjoyment will be, when you will be disgusted with that enjoyment, and then you will come back. to spiritual side. That day may never come, because the spiritual or the materialistic enjoyment is such that it always is like trying to put out a fire by putting more and more ghee. If you put more ghee, the fire will only blaze more. You cannot put out a fire by pouring more ghee. So trying to, that's the point I want to, even if you did not mean it that way, I wanted to highlight that as a caution.
So, Prabhuji, what I meant was the other way around.
Yeah.
It's like that we have lived materialistic life and we did not find fulfillment in it. And that's where we incline towards the spiritual knowledge. I mean, at least that's my personal experience. I don't know about others. So it's like,
yeah,
when you don't feel content in your materialistic life, and we are all born in materialistic life. I wish we were born in a transcendental family, but I was not. So maybe it's like more coming from my example.
Very nice, Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Shamlila Mataji.
Prabhuji, I will try to tighten my words a little bit there. So I was thinking कि जैसे भगवद गीता में भी भगवान is saying कि I have created the वर्णाश्रम. वर्णाश्रम के हिसाब से जो आपका ड्यूटी है, वो आपको करना है, क्योंकि आपके गुण और कर्म के हिसाब से what it is. So I think going in line with that, that is why they're saying कि materialistic knowledge भी is important, because in that varnashram system, wherever you fit in is what the materialistic knowledge that they're trying to maybe.
I think one of the other devotees also mentioned that one will anyway have to do their duty according to their swabhava, their nature, coming out of their past conditioning, and therefore that cannot be stopped. Even if they try to artificially stop it, it will happen. So yes, very nice point. Thank you, Mataji. There are a couple of points on the chat. Let me read it. So Sai Prabhu is saying we need both do's and don'ts, like cross the road on green, don't cross the road on red. Exactly. Both go side by side. Only knowing the former may be confusing when the alternative situation shows up. Yes, so that's very tightly said, as I said. Brings out the point that you should know what to do and what not to do. And just like in Nectar of Instruction, the first two verses, or the not first two, the second and third verse. Second one is telling us what not to do. What are the activities, 6 activities that are not conducive to bhakti. Third verse is telling us what are the 6 activities conducive to bhakti. So don'ts and do's, both, knowing both are important. Neeraj Prabhu is saying, when we are in this material world, we are always involved in some materialistic activity, and we can use this materialistic knowledge. We cannot sustain ourselves materially, and at the same time, we can gain spiritual knowledge. We can gradually dovetail materialistic knowledge and activities to spiritual. Very nice. Yes, so all these are very nice points. Okay, we will move forward now. Kindly mute yourself, someone. Okay, so I just listed few points here. One point. So why is the knowledge of avidya being advocated? So that we must know demoniac knowledge so that we can stay away from it. So we must know what are not only the to-dos, I think like Sai Prabhu said it nicely, and what not to do. Don't walk on the red light. It's not important, or rather it's not helpful to know only that you must walk on the green light. If the red light or orange light shows up, you need to know what that means. So you don't have to try jumping the red signal and getting a ticket. Don't try that, but you should know. Please send me some gulab jamuns also.
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right. So, yeah. So demoniac knowledge, we must understand what is sinful activities. And this is another reason in the Bhagavad Gita, 16th chapter, divine and demoniac natures, Lord Krishna is spending 90% of that chapter on demoniac nature. He has said, okay, divine nature, divine qualities, I have explained enough. It is also important for me to explain how a demon thinks. And Lord Krishna explains the reason for this so that we can understand how not to think. So that will come in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So that is demoniac knowledge. Materialistic knowledge. So we can use it for many things. 2 for ourselves and 2 for others. Okay. So for ourselves, one is to sustain a simple livelihood for ourselves, for yourself. Okay. So you need materialistic knowledge. We are in this material world. We in today's world, living in America or even in India, you cannot go begging. And one can say even begging, it's also a materialistic activity, but we need some activity to sustain ourselves. And here I have mentioned that materialistic knowledge is known as gauna vidhi. Gauna vidhi means it is a secondary principle. It helps us to fulfill the primary principle. Many people already understand this. If you ask somebody, why are you doing a job? Some 1% people may say, I love the job. Even if they don't pay me, I will do the job. But 99% of the people say that they are doing a job to sustain the family, to make a living, to put food on the table, all those things. So that concept is already present. The main point is here we are converting that from a very temporary objective like sustaining the family to making spiritual progress. That is the mukhya vidhi, or the primary objective. So use the materialistic knowledge to live a simple livelihood for yourself, and use that materialistic knowledge to advance your Krishna bhakti. Once your food is in the stomach, there is a shelter on your head, there are clothes on your body, roti, kapda, makan, the basic needs are met, then you can focus the rest of your time and energy in Krishna bhakti. So materialistic knowledge helps us in that way in our devotional or our spiritual progress. Also, we can use our materialistic knowledge to inspire others in Krishna bhakti, and to use anything that we have obtained by our materialistic knowledge from others in Krishna's service. So, if, like we discussed it in one of the past classes, this concept of agyata sukriti, even if others are doing some materialistic activity, but the result, the karma phala, so karma is materialistic, but that karma phala, the result of that materialistic activity, if it is being used for Krishna or for Krishna seva, then they also get benefit. So this is a nice way of using materialistic knowledge for Krishna's service. And the main point being that materialistic activity cannot be avoided. It needs to be done. Even if we avoid it, then it will, we'll anyway have to do it. There is no way in which materialistic activity can be avoided completely. And this saha word is important because these two are not mutually exclusive. So it is not that we must give up materialistic activity, only then we can do spiritual activity. Both can be done side by side, just like Srila Prabhupada says in the translation. Okay, so that's a point where avidya, why avidya is being mentioned in this verse. Okay, so there is this very nice verse that we will study in Nectar of Devotion. This is one of the verses to be memorized in Nectar of Devotion or Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which is highlighting this point that everything can be used in Krishna's service. So Vishayan, so the verse is Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatharham Upayunjataha Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yukta Vairagyam Uchyate. So Vishayan is the important word. It means that those things that are materialistic. The Vishaya means the objects that appeal to our material senses. So anasakta, asakta means attached. Anasakta Vishayan. So even though, or we should remain unattached to the Vishaya, to these objects of the material world, by remaining unattached to it. And yatharham upayunjataha means, yunjata means to use it, to engage it, and suitably, nicely engage it, Krishna sambandhe, in relation to Krishna. Nirbandha, but without yourself being entangled with it. It is not like, oh, I want to offer puri halwa to Krishna, but 10 minutes later, I am going to have it. Then there is some bandha, there is some entanglement. So complete nirbandha Krishna sambandhe, that is called Yukta Vairagyam Uchyate. Uchyate means it is called. So that is Yukta Vairagya. It is, you are engaged. So this is called detachment by engagement. This engagement word is the Yukta, Vairagya is the detachment. So you can do detachment yet by being engaged. So this is a very important verse. When one is not attached to anything, but at the same time accepts everything, and I would add here, everything material, because the word is Vishayan, and Vishayan is not talking about spiritual objects, it is talking about material objects. Everything material in relation to Krishna, one is rightly situated above possessiveness. So one doesn't get entangled, it becomes akarma, it doesn't become sakarma. So this is a very important principle of Yukta Vairagya. So everything should be, everything can be used in Krishna's service, or almost everything, 99%. Meat cannot be used, killing someone cannot be used in Krishna's service. At least I don't know of a way, but almost everything else can be used in Krishna's service. Okay, so another, we will do some quick exercise here with the devotees, some food for thought. So I want again to do some interactive session. How, because like we said, this section is a knowledge, is not a knowledge section, it is a application and practice section, 9, 10, and 11. So it is full of practice, and you know, we as Bhakti Shastri teachers, we get a guidebook of you know, how can we, you know, engage the students to think or to apply some principles of Bhakti Shastri in our life. So one of the exercises which I liked very much, and this was done also when I was doing it myself. So let us, would somebody like to give some thoughts? That, so there are 3 different questions and very distinct questions. Okay, first one is what, like we have been discussing, but some examples. How can you use material knowledge for Krishna Bhakti? I will request some devotees to give 3, 4, 5 examples. Okay, next one is, what are the gotchas? Gotchas means, what do you need to be careful about? Okay, and the third one is, how do you know you have gone too far? Gone too far as in gone too far on the other side. While you think you were doing Krishna Bhakti, but it went into the other side. And unless you know that you have gone away, astray into the other side, you will not be able to bring yourself back. So that's why the third one is important. How will you detect that you have gone astray, you have deviated? So these questions are therefore very important. The first one is how to use properly. Second one is how to prevent it from happening. This is a prevention question. And the third one is a cure question. How do you fix it, or how do you cure the problem if it occurs? So would anybody like to speak up? Few points. Yes, Surya Narayan Prabhu.
With material knowledge only, we can have Sravanam, Vicharanam, and Patanam. Then only we can go to Krishna Bhakti or spiritual knowledge.
Some more like, give a tangible example, like tomorrow, what could you do?
Prabhuji, I will say that we can use this to earn money and be in company of devotees. We may have to travel to be in company of devotees.
Very nice.
Nature.
Very good, very good. Okay, yes, now we will go in the sequence. Manjari Kopika Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Madhav Gauranga Prabhu, very good.
So material knowledge, we can, set up a nice kitchen with all the advanced equipments, and we can prepare it for serving the prasadam, right? But then if you start using that one for the gaining the Lakshmi or acquiring we become a bigger professional, start selling the prasadam and try to collect the prasadam, that's not going to work. We are deviating from our purpose of serving the prasadam.
Very nice, very nice. Yes, Vinil Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Learning about the new technologies or the YouTube or social media and using it for like websites or like any kind of like devotional activities.
Very nice. So far, and I know you are doing that, and all the devotees, naturally, Madhav Gauranga Prabhu and Krishna Keshav Prabhu and others, they're distributing prasadam, and so social media for propagating devotional message to the people. Very nice. One more, Shamlila Mataji.
So Prabhuji, similar social media, and also I'm now using a software called Audacity to download videos and then convert them into SoundCloud, Guru Maharaj ke videos, and then convert them and upload them on SoundCloud videos. So that's one of the things. If the gotchas are, if you start feeling ki are ye to main kar rahi hu aur main nahi hoti to ye nahi hota, if that ego starts coming in you, that could be one of the ways that you should know that you're going down the wrong path and come back. This is not you doing anything.
Very nice point. So I think you mentioned gotchas means let ego creep in. I am the doer. If I did not do, then it would not happen. Very nice. Okay, we'll cycle back to Suryanarayan Prabhu. Anything else in this gotchas category? Or I will say here, do not let ego creep in. Do not let. Did you want to add here?
I would like to add.
You can raise your hand, Mataji, Niru Mataji.
Okay, sorry.
Then we'll go in sequence. The Zoom hand, I meant. Yes, Surya Narayan Prabhu.
I wouldn't follow the meaning of gotchas.
Means, sorry, gotchas, or what's an alternate word? Somebody suggest me. What are the
maybe warnings?
Things to watch out for.
Pitfalls.
Potential pitfalls, yes. Basically, like when you are doing some risky activity, okay, then what should you be careful about? So that is the
bad company, bad friends.
Okay, bad association.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, yes, Madhav Gauranga Prabhu. Is your hand raised from past or?
Oh, no, yeah, that was for the past. I will remove it. Sorry.
Okay, I think you mentioned.
Yeah, Mataji already mentioned about it, that they do not let ego creep in, because then they say, oh, I'm serving the prasadam to everybody, that's the ego will come in. So, yes, Prabhu.
Very nice. Okay, yes, Vinil Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. I would like to use Sai Prabhu's example, like green light, red light, and especially when we are on social media, right? Like there is always a point where when we can deviate with the content that is available, right? Like whether it can be YouTube or Instagram. Like apart from the bhakti or the devotional content, there is a lot of other content, right? Like an ad might pop up and we might deviate. You should be careful, like what to watch and what not to watch.
I'll put it this way: need to keep our self-control, because social media is very tempting. All right. Sai Prabhu, I think you have mentioned a point. Material knowledge should be dovetailed. What happened? Oh, it went up. Material knowledge should be dovetailed to spirituality directly by changing the goal from enjoying dead matter to seeking understanding of real nature, Brahman, and purpose. Yeah, that's a generic point. Yes. Yeah, that's a generic point. So thank you for sharing. And then we have Rajesh Prabhu. Yes, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhupada. So I was thinking, Prabhu, sometimes just to understand ourselves or just for preaching activities, we do get into other philosophies like Mayavadi philosophy, or try to dwell in so many other concepts also. So that is also a good thing, because we understand their side and then try to present the Krishna conscious philosophy with their respect to reach out to them, convince them. But at the same time, if you dwell too much into it, then there is a chance that we ourselves kind of dwell too much of even when you're chanting, you're thinking that how would I convince others rather than you focusing on the mantra. So that also happens. So not too much dwelling is also not good.
I added that as a, how can you use material knowledge, and Mayavad philosophy definitely is material knowledge, but to be able to understand their point, to be able to explain the Vaishnava philosophy to them. And here you are saying don't get swayed by Mayavada philosophy yourself. Nice point. Yeah, like I said, even I have read Shankaracharya's Bhagavad Gita, which is, has many Mayavadi points, but only for the purpose of understanding their point of view and make certain points in, using that knowledge to enhance the spreading the message. Okay, great. So I believe you raised your hand from a different Zoom, Rajesh and Shweta. Is that the same?
Yes, Prabhu. Actually, we logged into different devices.
Right, so you can lower it then from
yes,
there.
Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Niru Mataji, yes, go ahead.
I was saying that when we start taking activities in isolation and stop associating it with Krishna consciousness or spiritual.
So what was your point? Can you say that again, the first part again? When
you start taking the activity in isolation and stop associating it with the consciousness, Krishna consciousness.
So what you're saying here is what are the preventive, just to word it as a preventive thing.
Yes.
Always keep the purpose of the activity in mind.
Yeah.
Why am I doing a certain activity, and how it connects to my Krishna bhakti, so that we don't get carried away by the activity itself, but we always stay connected to that activity being a way to increase our Krishna bhakti or enhance our bhakti. So we must always keep that in our mind. Very nice. Ashish, now we can also start looking at how would you know that you are deviating. You can start raising your hand about the third question also. So yes, we'll continue here. Ashish Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, but my answer is again for the second questions, and Niru Mataji already is the succession of that one, where we should not be trapped inside the self with our senses. Just we are satisfying our senses instead of doing our devotional services. So it's kind of a self-gratification. We should not trapped into that while we are doing other services of the materialistic things.
So what you're saying is don't indulge in sense gratification as a byproduct
Right.
of seva, of Krishna seva.
Ji.
Very nice. Yes, Manasi Ganga Mataji.
Prabhuji, like the 1/5 point we have written, first one, understand the Mayavadi and Vaishnava philosophy that you have already covered. Basically, I was trying to say learning scriptures. So unless we know like the scripture, and we wouldn't know what are the Lord's instruction. So Veda, scripture, learning, I was referring. I think you have captured as a Mayavadi philosophy or Vaishnava.
I think that was a very specific point. To learn the Mayavad philosophy, which actually we are advised to always stay away from. But once one has a very strong understanding of the Vaishnava philosophy, only then, not before. So we can, if somebody wants to put a very tangible goal, you can say after one has successfully completed Bhakti Shastri, something like that.
Okay.
Once one has become fixed, then one can dabble with permission of Guru. All these caveats I want to make sure are clear. Into some outside literature for the purpose of propagating the message of the Lord through the Vaishnava Acharyas. So what you are saying is use just the intelligence to read scriptures. If there's an illiterate person, he may be doing very nice japa, and maybe like even all the Vrajvasis. So many people were materially illiterate, but they were the topmost devotees. What you are saying is, if there is you have intelligence, use it to learn scriptures.
Yeah.
Like Uddhavji, he was so learned, he had all the knowledge. So the Lord entrusted him to go to Badrikashram and spread his message to the sages in Badrikashram. But when he went to Vrindavan, he understood that all his knowledge is useless in front of the Brajvasis. So yes, what you are saying is scripture reading by our material scholarship.
And the watch out for is like we shouldn't be dwelling in the scholarly or just not becoming the sense gratification. I don't know how to put the word, Prabhuji. By learning the scriptures, we shouldn't be proud of ourselves or
That point has come.
Yeah, I'm putting it as don't become proud of your scholarship of the scriptures.
Yeah, then only focusing on the essence of what is that being said.
Remain humble and
focus on the instruction.
Focus on the instructions. Very nice. Very good.
And how do we know that we are deviating? If we would have learned properly and kind of applying that knowledge, we should be knowing whether we are deviating or not deviating. Because all the instruction is given by Lord in Bhagavad Gita. So I don't remember the verse, Prabhuji, as we are progressing in spiritual, gradually our material activity or desire also will have loosening the interest or more, our desires for the material activities, slowly it will diminish, or it will, whatever it's needed, we will be doing it.
So here, I would request devotees to be a little more specific. The question is, come up with strategies to know how you are deviating or if you are deviating. Something tangible. Yes, we know from scriptures and we should remember the scriptures, and that way we can tell, yes, we are deviating, but something little more tangible or little more something with a specific example that in one of these areas that we have listed in the previous two, how can we bring ourselves back, or not how we can bring ourselves back, how we can detect that we have swayed away. So Yes, we'll go to the next and then we can see. Yes, Anjana Mataji or Abhimanyu Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, one thing is, so sometimes we have this tendency when we are trying to follow Krishna consciousness or trying to get into it. So if we find people who are not following this and all, sometimes we may have this superiority complex that, okay, so kuch aata nahi, he's a dumb fellow, this, that. So that pride should not be there that we know more than somebody else. And we should look at everybody as finally, Supreme Father is Krishna, that spiritual souls, which we tend to forget very quickly. And the cure would be, so when anytime we get this kind of pride or we start, saying, or feeling this kind of superiority complex, remember that everybody is a spiritual being and a part and parcel of Krishna, and they will come to that path sooner or later. So we are just little.
So it's not really, I misspoke when I said cure. I should have said detecting the disease.
Yeah, that pride. So when we are starting to see that, when we are starting to feel that, or when we see somebody, hey, he or she is following something else or not following, or we know this much, we know books, or we know this and that. So that pride.
Yes. Yeah, you and Manasi Ganga Mataji both kind of said pride in the heart, or detecting pride in the heart. Okay. Yes.
Probably, I would like
Go
to
ahead.
say, one of the ways that you can detect that you're kind of falling behind or not following the Krishna consciousness is that when you're not doing something right, you do have a guilt feeling. You do have that, a sense that, you're not doing right or you're not following what you're supposed to. So following that, the cues that you get from yourself, from within, is important. I mean, that's how you can bring yourself back onto the path.
Very good. So I have written it as some feeling of guilt or some internal voice that I am not doing my best.
Yes.
Very good.
Some internal guidance.
Yeah. Very nice. Yes, Shyamlila Mataji.
So Prabhuji, I think it's very important to have mentors and gurus जिनको आप trust करते हैं and जिनकी feedback you can take with extreme humility. So like without disclosing what the feedback that you gave me was, but I took that seriously and I'm pondering over it and trying to work on it. So of course it also depends from person to person, but for me feedback seemed to work the most because I take them the most seriously when it comes from the people I trust or respect.
Very good. Very good. So constant touch with some mentors or Shiksha or Diksha Guru, and especially those who can observe us or whom you share your situation with, but also observance is important. So because you can share a sugar-coated version, not purposely, but that is our nature. We are blind to our own deepest mistakes, or not mistakes or shortcomings. So even though we want to share honestly, we may not, but observing by others may not be there. Those our blind spots may be visible to others. So having such mentors or gurus, and especially those who can also observe us, and it doesn't have to be like a physical proximity. It could even be the voice. A telephone call also could serve the purpose. People can listen to the in between the lines and the unsaid things and detect, oh, this person is actually, he's saying it this, but there is little, dal mein kala, or what you say, a grain of sand in the curd rice. It can be easily detected. If there is a grain of sand in the curd rice, it doesn't go unnoticed. So yeah, very nice point. Very, very nice point. Yes, Neeru Mataji.
Prabhuji, in order to understand deviating, I think constant observation of the day-to-day behavior is important. For example, if I'm seeing more anger in myself or intolerant to things, that could be an indication that I am deviating.
Very nice. Self-evaluation. And what I usually tell many devotees, and I try to do it myself sometimes. I'm inclined to say I'm not the best preacher of or actor of my own preaching, so to say, but still I do it as much as possible. Self-evaluation on a constant basis or on a regular basis. And the best is done daily, because we forget what we have done 1 week back. So every day to evaluate, what did I do today that was not up to the mark, and try to do that little bit of self-evaluation, 5 minutes, or even when you are, in the bathroom, you cannot talk to anyone. Don't take your phone with you in the bathroom. That's the last thing you should carry. Or in shower, or something when you have, basically when you are alone and you have some, quiet time. Think what you are doing. Very nice. Sai Prabhu has raised the hand. Let's see. Some messages are there. I'm unable to read them at the speed at which they are coming. I will read the one by Sai Prabhu. Devotional service should not be used for deception, such as gaining name and fame. Yeah, so that is in the watch out category. And followers and status, dhanam, janam, sundarim, kavitam va. So, the 4th verse of Shikshashtakam. And then, but for serving Krishna with devotion, like children that serve the parents. Very nice. Then another point is chanting and remembering Krishna will decrease proportional to our immersion in. Very nice. The latter only give temporary distraction to the need of the soul, which is, I didn't understand that. Anyway, so I think a very good point here is decrease in our sadhana. So that is a very nice point. So, we must, to do that, to detect that it is decreasing, we must have a consistent sadhana. If already your sadhana is up and down, then you cannot detect whether it is going up one day or down one day. But if you are consistent, more or less, then you can detect if it is going down or up. So consistent sadhana, or many devotees also keep a sadhana sheet. They write down, for example, this week, how many pages of Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam I read, how many verses I memorized, how many rounds I chanted, and by what time I chanted, not at, last thing in the night at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. while you are, falling asleep. Finish it before, while you are, awake, and all those. So decrease in our sadhana. So that's a good point. Okay, Radhakanta Prabhu.
Yeah, the last point is what I was trying to say, Prabhuji. I think we covered it.
Okay, very nice. Kalyani Mataji.
Yes, Prabhu. What I was thinking was in the similar lines. I was thinking of like getting more attracted to the material things and making the spiritual activities just mechanical. So if we are in that situation, we need to understand that we are getting deviated.
So I can write it here. I'm not doing my best in that, or maybe decrease in our sadhana, or sadhana becoming mechanical. That is one thing you said. And we can say conversely, increase in materialistic activities. So it can mean so many things, more watching movies, or, whatever, soccer games. Now soccer is over, etc., etc.
Yes, getting attracted to any sense objects.
Sense objects, yes, very nice. Going to parties, shopping, yeah, that's a big one. Christmas, yes, shopping is still valid. All right, then we have Chandrasekhar Prabhuji.
Hey Krishna Prabhuji, I was thinking along the same lines as decrease in sadhana, but Another thing that I wanted to mention was our inclination, the inclination in us to serve is also an indicator. Inclination to serve, decreasing that inclination is also an indicator of a deviation.
So decrease in our sadhana or seva or Krishna seva, we can say that.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, Krishna or Krishna seva, bhakti, devotee
Vaishnava
serving the Vaishnava seva. Yes. Very nice point. All right, then Rajesh Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So yeah, in similar point, but just in a different tone. So when we actually read the scriptures, we also get this the standard where we need to hit, right? Like the Vaishnava qualities, or how our Shad Goswamis have that attitude, right? So every day, like introspecting that where we are, where we were there before, where we are now. Are we in the positive direction? That also gives an indication where if we are in the right direction or not.
Okay, so I can say here, I said self-evaluation. We can say self-evaluation. What I think the additional point you mentioned is with respect to some standards we have, what should I say, developed or made for our progress. So through the example of acharyas and devotees, we have made some standards for ourselves, write it down, and then evaluate it against that on a daily basis or regular basis. I think that, correct me if that's not what you meant.
Yeah, yes, that's what I meant. Thank you.
All right, nice. Yes, Shilpa Mataji or Ashutosh Prabhuji. Is that?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes.
So, is there an echo?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay. So, if we get too attached to the material sort of knowledge, right, or the outcome of that knowledge, I think that can be definitely a big sign that something is going wrong, right? And we need to cure that. For example, if I'm earning money so that I can contribute, but then I get too attached to either the process with which I'm earning money, or I spend too much time counting how much I'm earning so that I can donate. I think that is something which is a definite watch out that something is going wrong, right? I mean, because it was meant to do something good, but somehow I'm getting so caught up in the act that I'm more attached to the act of earning money versus the outcome of doing good, sort of. Did you hear me, Prabhuji?
Huh?
Did you hear me?
Yes, I heard you. I'm typing.
Oh, okay.
Can you see what I'm just making note here? You're saying getting caught up in the act instead of the purpose. Example as focus on earning more versus using the money for Krishna.
Correct.
Okay, very nice. Vinil Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. In line with the fourth statement of self-evaluation or self-assessment with the regulative principles, especially through our speech, mind and actions, Prabhu. Manasa vacha karmana, basically. It's not just for saying, like, but ultimately apply it, as you said, like application and practice.
Yep. Mind. What is that? Body, mind, and words. BMW. All right, very nice. Yes, Anjana Mataji.
So connected with the self-evaluation, Prabhuji, I think honesty. So when we are doing self-evaluation, we should be honest, because sometimes we are like either kind of like scared to dive deeper into it, or just it's too much of work, so we kind of like forget it, or just not being honest with ourselves. So being honest to ourselves and just understanding that, or accepting your mistakes, or just being okay with your faults and accepting that, yes, these are the mistakes that I have done and I have to work on it. So honesty, I feel that one should be honest to oneself.
Very good. Yeah. So yours, I put the word honest here. Honest self-evaluation. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yes, Jai Nitai Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare
Decrease in faith in Vaishnava association as being a potent limb of bhakti, and change in consciousness and getting attracted to materialistic association, like as opposed to Vaishnava association.
Getting into materialistic association. I will put it like this, and I think that's what you meant, at the cost of Vaishnava association.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Means that it's one is decreasing and the other is increasing. Okay. Good. Thank you. Yes, Suryanarayan Prabhu.
Getting angry, irritating, and losing balance in day-to-day activities.
Yes, getting angry.
That is a symptom of deviating from spiritual knowledge.
Now, many people have a problem with anger, but anger can never go away, or maybe very hard. One of the hardest thing is to get rid of that. So how you are diagnosing means that if your anger is increasing or is it decreasing. So if you have been working on it and then it starts increasing, then it's a problem. But if it is gradually decreasing, then you are on the right track. Okay. So I think that that's what you meant.
Yes, sir.
All right. Very nice. So we have come to the end. Let's see what are the other comments. There are some other comments. I'm sorry, I'm not able to. Ananya Mataji raised her hand. Okay. I'm trying to scan through the message. We may earn money and donate for good cause, but then ego may creep in. Yes. The cure may be like to realize that we are doing it for Krishna's happiness, not ours. Yes, very nice. So detecting pride in the heart, or we also said, like, I am the doer. Somewhere I wrote it. I'm not going to search for it, but I am the doer mentality. Or if I don't do it, it won't happen. There is a very nice story I heard about Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj. I have told it a few times. So in the Gaudiya Math one time in the temple, some of the brahmacharis, their duty was to stay in the temple and do deity worship. And some of the brahmacharis, their duty was to go out and distribute some books or, collect money and those things. Those brahmacharis who went out, they began to think, we are the doers. I am the earner. These guys are just, kind of, sitting at in the temple, doing deity worship and all. So when they would come back, they would expect a royal welcome, prasadam to be ready and everything, somebody should, serve them when they come back from outside. So this created a sort of a friction between the devotees in the temple, and Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj came to know about it, and it became ugly. Then he said, nobody is going to go out. Everybody is going to do deity worship. You think that you are going and earning the money. Krishna is the one who is sending the money. And so he stopped all going out and, getting donation or whatever. And the situation for 1 month, nobody went out. And the funds, whatever were there in the temple, they were depleting to the point that no money was left to survive even few more days. And everybody was thinking, what is Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj doing? How will we run the temple? How will we feed so many brahmacharis? And how will we offer bhoga? And then one day, a very rich man came and made a big donation to Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj. And, he said, anytime you need money, you just let me know. I will give whatever is needed. So then all the devotees, realized that, Krishna is running the show. They are not running the show. So Bhakti Siddhanta Maharaj obviously did not know that this will happen, but he had firm faith on Krishna. And what he knew was that Krishna will somehow make it happen. How he will make it happen, when he will make it happen, that he did not know. but he knew that it will happen. So that is the mood of a pure devotee. Okay, I'm just trying to scan through some of the comments. Struggling with senses, sporadic endeavors, yes, some spikes in our bhakti. Yeah, deviating when we take part in non-devotional company. So yeah, but this is very difficult when we have to maintain relationship. How do we deal with this? Yes, so that's a good point. So it is not recommended to cut off your relationships. It goes back to the previous one of how to use material, whatever objects, sense objects, and these relationships with so-called non-devotees. I don't like that term non-devotee, but let's just use that term. Basically, people who are very materialistic and sense gratification oriented, somehow to use that relationship to engage it in Krishna's service. So with those people, talk about Krishna little bit, not any deep topics about Radha and Krishna and the love between Radha and Krishna, not all those deep topics, very simple topics that, you know, doing our japa or thinking about Krishna or serving the devotees or doing good things to others, considering all living entities as part and parcels of Krishna, and our being kind and compassionate, share about Krishna with others. Either they will be benefited, or slowly they will themselves get the message that this person is, always going to talk about useless things. So they won't mind if you are not there, and they won't even, want to associate with you. So, they might themselves drift away. So this happens in the life of many, many devotees. But you can, and with some people, you have to maintain relationships, some close friends or family members. Tolerate it. If they are talking about soccer, football, movies, or this person did with that person, all criticizing each other and all kind of politics, and Donald Trump and Narendra Modi and Rahul Gandhi, listen from one ear, take it out of another ear. It is like you travel in India in train, in a third-class train. If you have to go to the bathroom, you have to go to the bathroom. You tolerate somehow, isn't it? It's the, dirty, this, that, whatever. But somehow you go there, you tolerate, and you come out and fine, okay, I'm out. So, that these are some of the things that you can do. Okay, I'm finding it difficult to go through all the comments. Very nice comments are there. Rethink the Lord's instruction, see how we are leading the life. For example, scripture says if one thing. Yeah, I think all these points are covered. Okay, so let's, I think that's the more or less, so this is food for thought. Yeah, then the last point is about immortality. So in this verse, if you see, we talked about Vidya Amritam Ashnute. So through the knowledge of Vidya, one tastes Amrit, which means one becomes immortal. So immortality is the end result of the path of Vidya, accompanied by avidya, used to support our spiritual progress. So when finally the fruit of our spiritual path matures, then at that point all avidya is eliminated and only vidya remains. There are no more material pains and pleasures. All our attachment to material pleasures goes away. All our suffering of pains also goes away, and one goes to the abode of Lord Krishna. And then from there, one never comes back. That is the immortality. So one lives permanently with Krishna. I was, since we are now out of time, we are not going to do this exercise, but there was another exercise I had planned to connect all these 4 points to verses, very beautiful verses from Bhagavad Gita. So in the Bhagavad Gita, for example, all avidya is eliminated when one gets perfect knowledge. And this is very beautifully mentioned by Arjuna in the 73rd verse when he says, Nashto moha smritir labdha. So my moha means illusion or avidya. Whatever was his avidya, it was in the mode of goodness, the pious avidya. I don't want to kill other people, my friends and family members. So nashto moha. So my moha has been destroyed. So avidya is eliminated. The second point is there are no more material pains and pleasures. There are so many, at least 10-15 verses in Bhagavad Gita minimum about no pain and pleasure. One of the most beautiful ones is 1854, which is Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na shochati na kankshati. So shocha means lamentation and kanksha means akanksha, no desires for pleasures. So no lamentation, no pain, no pleasure. Na shochati na kankshati. So that is that's what is the state of a person who has matured his spiritual path. And then one goes to the abode of Lord Krishna. So there are so many verses, and the line is common actually in all of them, or most of them. The line is common, and that common line is Tato Yati Param Gatim, that then one goes to the highest destination. So Yati means attains, Param Gatim, one attains to the highest destination. So in the 6.45, there is this this thing that Aneka Janma Samsiddhas Tato Yati Param Gatim. After many lifetimes of doing this practice, spiritual practice, one attains the spiritual destination. And so many other verses are there. And then some very beautiful verses are, once you go there, you never come back. Yad gatva na nivartante tad dhamam paramam mama. That is in 15th chapter. That how it starts, 15.6. Yeah. Na tad bhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatva na nivartante tad dhamam paramam mama. Yad gatva, after going that, na nivartante. So one does not come back. So that is the immortality, situation of immortality. So that is the end of the discussion today. Okay, very nice. Today was a little bit more interactive, and it was meant to be like this because this section 9, 10, 11 was learning oriented, but also there is application in it. So next time we will cover, most likely we will cover 3 verses together. So this is 11, 12, 13, 14, because they are very much similar to 9, 10, 11 with a big twist. So that is a hint. You can read 12, 13, 14 and compare them to 9, 10, 11. So do a contrast. Open both those, or have 2 copies of Īśopaniṣad in your hands. In one side you keep 9, 10, 11, other side you keep 12, 13, 14, and you can contrast, and we will discuss the contrast of those 3 verses. Okay, anything else? Yes, Radhakanta Prabhu, you have a question?
Prabhuji, could you please bring up that food for thought slide once more? I just want to take a quick screenshot of it.
Sure, I'll upload it also on YouTube, but yeah, here it is. Yeah, it's a nice exercise we did, and a lot of nice points are there. Got it?
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. Anything else? Last minute questions? Okay. Thank you so much for the wonderful discussion and the interactive participation. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.